Hi everyone, welcome one more time to Football 101 Talks with Ultrax. My name is Marko Matuszynski. I will be your host like every time, and today we have a special guest with us. It's Goran Patrčević. Goran, hi one more time. Welcome to our episode.
Hi, Professor. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, yeah, nice to have you here, and I will explain why this professor. Well, we met each other at the university. I was your professor on Goran's professor on few lectures, and this is how we met. And from there, we are all the time, discussing different topics. And right now, we also talk about some different projects to collaborate. But we will mention to people all of this. I will start to introduce you a little bit, but I will leave you to do that part. I know that you will do that better. I don't want to take to miss something, but I will start from the things that I know, and that's that in 2018 you were an intern in Dynamo. Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, perfect. So you were an intern then. After that, you go to Vele working as a video analyst. After that, to Midtjylland, and now the last thing that I know, you're in Burnley, working as a technical scout. And first of all, congrats on that. It's a huge thing for us, for everybody in Croatia, and from people from Vinkovci, the city that we are from there. So I know that all of them are very proud. And I will stop now talking about your experience, and I will leave you just to introduce yourself a little bit, in few sentences about your background, so that the people can know you better.
of course, as you mentioned, I started in Dinamo Zagreb Academy, but there my role was not scouting. My role was more intense to analyst role. So I was with academy, with under 17, under 15, watching some games, clipping few movies and stuff like that. Also using camera, picking up games and more stuff as an intern role. After that, it's been a small gap between my second roles, but I was involved a little bit in scouting with one agency in Slovenia. I met there a few nice people, also my mentor who provided me with some knowledge in terms of scouting. And then I got the opportunity to work in a volleyball club as a head analyst at the moment. It was Danish Superliga. Then we were relegated into second division, but we came back immediately next season, and then I got the opportunity to work as a lead regional scout for FC Midtjylland. In the meantime, when I worked for Vile, I met with the Midtjylland guys and we discussed something. We like each other, so it was a logical step to stay in Denmark but work in a better club. And after almost 2 years at Midtjylland, I was lucky to get the opportunity to work in English football now for a Burnley Football Club. That's it in short version.
Sounds like an amazing experience, man. Especially the names of the clubs and the positions that you changed. But before we start to talk about it, you mentioned something about mentors. And I would like to stick a little bit to that. In the previous episodes, we always have like similar structure, but usually I talk with physical coaches, strength conditioning coaches. Now you are the first one uh, who is from scouting department, and I would like to start also with different questions. So about mentors, what is your opinion for them? Do you think that people need to have mentors? Is this something that helped you in your career?
Of course, if you are provided with the opportunity to work with somebody who has more experience in field that you're interested in, you should reach for it, because every kind of advice, especially in football industry, is always good advice, especially if it's coming from someone with good experience and knowledge. So I was lucky enough that our dear colleague Dinko Jelicic, who I would say he's my mentor because I met him in
Yeah,
2020.
I know Dico. We work together. Amazing guy. Amazing coach,
amazing person before
amazing
everything,
person.
and
That's it. Yeah.
amazing professional. He also worked at some serious level in Spain. He worked with academies of Alaves, and also he was really, and now he's a good head coach. So I'm always, pleasant to call him a mentor of mine.
Yeah, like I said, Dinko is an amazing guy. We worked together on few different projects, but also in one club. So he was my boss, my head coach. And when you say that, yeah, he's a great professional, I definitely can confirm that because the things that I am doing right now, I start to do when I work with him. He put some uh, big stones there, and I'm following that methodology since then. Uh, to get back to your role, uh, can you explain us more how your uh, day looks like? In video analysis department or scouting department, it's a different position than when we are talking about and with physical coaches. We all know how this part functions, but can you tell how this position of yours look like, in a daily basis?
When you work as an analyst, it's quite similar to the strength and conditioning coach because you need to come early at the club, prepare everything for a session. Usually, you have some kind of provider of video, or you are using some kind of specific camera that you need to set up before the session and everything. So usually you start with all the other stuff, and they arrived a few hours before the training. You get through your whole session because you need to be focused on some specific parts that you will film, or you need to be involved in some way of the session because you also have some kind of football background and you can help on the pitch in some moments. So basically, you discuss everything with the coach during the session. You are in charge of filming everything. So after the session, you already have some kind of clips, something prepared for the players, especially if we are speaking about match day -1, when we are doing something really specific on the field, what is really important for tomorrow's match. And then if you can improve player immediately on the pitch, you will try to explain him and show him immediately his mistake or something that he could do better. So basically, that's it. After the session, you probably will clip something from the full session, some small details that you will show to the staff. Also, if you are discussing something, for example, some kind of high press situation, you will take a look, you will discuss whole room, what we can improve. Is it too risky? Is it this? Is it that? And after that, you will provide it probably to the team. And main of your week is basically doing preparation for your opponent. So if you are able to watch your next opponent live, I will also go live if there is possibility, because when you seeing your opponent live, it's much easier than to make video presentation. So you watch live, then you watch on video, cut, prepare everything, show to your staff, show to your players, and there is a cycle that you are doing half of the season.
So you have some steps that are, repeating themselves every week, every day, let's say, from period to period. Yeah, it's quite similar, like you said, with physical work. We also have specific parts of the day, and we already know what we need to do before training, during the training, and after the training. And my next question is, as you mentioned something about a little bit physical work and video analysis, and from your opinion, how we can connect and can we connect these two departments to work like together? Well, I will start with my opinion on this. I think that we, as a strength conditioning coaches, can learn a lot from uh, performance analysts and scouting department, because the football needs to be, the main focus, and everything that is happening on a game, we can take, from that, and we can prepare our warm-ups or any type of drill that we want. So what do you think about that?
I will use one term that you like a lot. I would say it's holistic approach. So if we are speaking about football, I think holistic approach is really
Yeah.
important, because if you have problem, you need more eyes and more angles on problem, because there is going to be better solution. And in that terms of, we can speak about connecting strength and conditioning coaching with the performance stuff, because something that we see maybe can implement your work, and also something that you can gain from the data GPS stuff can implement my analysis, because some teams can push, for example, we will take somebody can push really hard in the second half, and you can change rhythm of the game, and on the bench you are the guy who can see GPS, and also you are the guy who know they change the rhythm a little bit. So there is few ways that we could cooperate, and I think in the future it's even be more important.
I really like what you said in the future, and I think that the things are going in that direction. That constantly we as a physical coaches are now really checking what is happening in a game setting and in football drills, so that we can answer what is the feedback from the players. Depending, is it a collection of high speed runnings or sprinting in offensive transition, defensive transition, depending on the system. Yeah, I always talk when I talk with my students or coaches that first we need to follow football and check football, and then interpret the data when we are looking at the GPS. But to get back to the scouting position, so when it comes to scouting, what is your philosophy here? What do you check when you are scouting the players?
There are a few things that I look, but first and main thing for me is body positioning in some specific situations, because that's probably one of the biggest differences between good and average player, because good player can be progressive in the first touch, in the first pass, and average player is a player who needs one extra touch or two extra touches to get well orientated, and then he can find maybe progressive solution. So for me, basically one of the most important things is body positioning. Then you need to create a whole technical profile, whole tactical profile, whole mental profile. Again, holistic approach from everything, and then of course physical profile of the player. If there is possibility, you can reach for some kind of data with agent or stuff like that. But now we have many providers that provide us some kind of data. So creating physical profile is now, I would say, easier than in past.
When it comes to physical parameters that you mentioned now, the last, what do you check? I mentioned physical part because it's the main that I'm coming from, and I'm interested to hear the scouting department that is checking also these qualities. And what kind of qualities do you check, within the player when it comes to physical attributes or maybe GPS data?
I would say it's basic. It's not something really, really special, because you will look at the player, his acceleration, his speed, his agility, his balance. For example, jumping reach also is important, and then you will watch strength. And I will use term for my technical director at FC Midtjylland, dual beast, dual monster. So we will catch those kind of things, how he positioned himself, the duels, did he use his
Dual
body well?
monster.
Yes, physical monster,
Yeah,
dual monster, physical monster. That's
I
one of the main things right now in football, I would say.
I like the name, like okay,
Yeah,
dual monster.
it sticks with you. When you hear it
It's
first time,
catchy. Yeah,
yeah, you
it's
need to
it's
watch for
catchy.
this monster. Yeah.
Like one author that I'm following, his name is Mladen Ivanovic. He likes to, when you are interpreting the things that you see, you can have this phenomenological interpretation of the data. So it's not the classical data. It's like this that your technical director said. It's dual beast. You don't know what dual beast is, but you can explain what it is. It's hard to measure it, but you know what you wanted to say. But when it comes to duals, let's stick a little bit to that. Is there any specific variables or data that you are checking, when creating these profiles? Why am I asking this? Because I know that you like data, like me. That's why we're talking all the time on these topics. So when it comes to data, what specific data do you check when it comes to duels or body position?
So Basically, first thing that I watch when we are talking about duels is approach of the player. So I try to explain to myself in two ways. There is a frontal and lateral approach. And then when I see what kind of player approach is using, then I can see some kind of data. Usually I like to combine. So I picked up data from Scout and StatsBomb, and then I create my own spreadsheet that gives me some kind of dual power. I will use 9 or 10 metrics combined into one. And then one of the metrics that I will actually check is dual power, and the other metrics that I will check is dual intensity. So intensity basically explained its repeating power of the player. So when he is approaching duel and he didn't take ball in the first take, did he try to do it again? What is intensity of the second start? So stuff like that. Also, it's connected to picking up secondary balls after duels. So it's a wide thing to think about duels in a football game.
Yeah, definitely. And you said you connect 9 variables into one. Am I correct?
Yes.
When you get, yeah, say, sorry.
No. Continue. Sorry.
Uh-huh. Yeah, when you get these 9 variables and you get one, uh, do you put like a more emphasis on one of these variables, or how you interpret these results to yourself? Let's say you have these 9 variables and you have high power, high power value for duels. How you then use this data in action?
That's something interesting, and it's really connected with scouting because I check the data, but on the end of the day, I test is one of the most important things in my current role. Because even if data says that he is a bad duels, if I see that he is, for example, a little bit shorter player but has good balance, for example, and it's hard to throw him out the wall, but sometimes data doesn't show that, I will give him a green light because for the end of the day, we are watching football with our eyes and our mind is most important thing in the game still until something changes.
Yeah, you need to explain yourself how this data have, get to this report. It's also how we see the GPS data. You can have 700 meters of high speed running or 500 meters of sprinting, but like you said, it depends where you collect this data. If you are missing passes and you are running all the time behind, to defensive transition, maybe this is not not good collected high speed runs and sprinting. So the context is quite important here. Uh, to talk a little bit about different positions. It's when it comes to scouting, I know that maybe sometimes you need to change these variables depending on the position. So when it comes to selecting variables for, let's say, striker, defenders, or midfielders, are there any differences when you are checking these roles, or you use sometimes the same principles?
Principles are same, but your approach will be different. Of course, if you are speaking about, for example, defenders, they will find progressive passes easier because they can see much more of the pitch than, for example, midfielder. But you will take that into account. And also, when I created my model, I decreased some of progressive passing stuff into data so I can be more reliable when I'm speaking about defenders compared to midfielders or defensive midfielder because there is difference of pitch view, for example. Also, we are not speaking about forwards who are in a worst case in that kind of scenario, and probably most of their passes will go backwards or it will go into the lateral corridor as a wide distribution. So you need to be careful when you're playing with the data inside of football, especially with your understanding and using of data. For that reason,
Yeah,
probably many of the clubs are still not used to using data in high volume, but also it's changing right now.
yeah.
And I think lead clubs right now in the world in terms of data are Manchester City, Brighton. So everyone who is looking for new approach of the game or who are doing something different, they will try out with the data.
I agree with you. I think that we have a bunch of data that we are collecting them, and but still, we need to see what are the best ways how to use it, in context of football and dynamic environment and everything. Uh, to to get this question even wider, the last one about different positions. When it comes to age differences, is do you change then something? Let's say you see under 17 or under 18 guy who is, quite good depending on the variables. What what do you do then with him? Do you take some different things also into account, or how do you approach this?
That's actually a really good question, and it stuck with me for a long time because probably when you are a younger player, I will say now in my example, my spreadsheet it's quite easy. I have different colors for something what is interesting to me. So I have a green, I have red, and I have white. And for example, if someone offers me some kind of player, some agent, some club, blah blah blah, and I'll do like a quick test in my database, and he will come across as a red player in some terms, but he's under 19, for example, I will take a look because with the young players, you always need to be really careful because there is potential behind it and they are coachable, what is really important because when you are coachable, you could probably fix some of your
Yeah,
issues.
that's it.
So that's why if you are speaking about younger players, I will take a look anyway, even data will not be that great. I will still take a look because I always ask the agents or clubs or coaches, can I be honest with you? That's my first question. And second question is it player coachable? And after that, you create whole picture.
I think I I think that this question, are you coachable, is quite important, and sometimes, especially when we are working with younger players, sometimes we forget about it. But yeah, I think it's something that we definitely should check. Uh, well, you mentioned a few times your Excel. Well, I don't know if it's Excel or some kind of a spreadsheet or model that you are using, but you mentioned that you take that player that you are scouting, you put into this your model or something, and then you compare it. How does this process functioning?
Uh, Process is quite simple. I try to pick up data from Scout and then I pick up data from StatsBomb. And usually those two providers have different kind of variables, but I'm trying to get into the one thing. So I combine those two datas and then I use quantile or I use z value as a difference maker into league. So I compare league with a league player from one league to player in that league. And also then I can compare them to the rest of the world of different leagues. So basically, it's quite easy at the beginning, but when you get into it a little bit more, it could be difficult because now it's really hard to put evaluation of league level. So, for example, when I worked for Midtjylland, we had one provider who told us that players from Korea or South Korean league could easily implement into the Danish Superliga. So we picked up a few players from South Korea because data was saying that they will have easy adaptation period, and it was true. So could be interesting in the future also. For
Well,
example, for
yeah.
Croatian league, I'll tell you one example. I probably already told you that before when we were talking privately, but once I saw the player in the Latvian first division. He was playing at club name Valmeida. Player was Daisuke Yokota, a Japanese winger. And I was convinced at the moment that he could help us in a Violet Ball Club as a winger in the Danish Superliga. But there was no way to explain my sport director why he's playing on a village pitch. So there are trees behind, there is no stand, nothing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really
I remember this story. Yeah.
it's hard to get idea how the player can implement new leagues. So I try to pick up data from the player who played before at Latvia and now he's in Danish Superliga, and his input was quite similar. Like I was really convinced that Yokota could bring us something in the future. At the moment, he was 50K player on the transfer market, so he was easy available. but sport director says no, it's a village league, there is no way. After that, Jokota moved to Polish Superliga, Polish Ekstraklasa, and then went to Ghent, I think, in Belgium. Now he's playing for Karlsruhe in Bundesliga 2, and he's 2.5 million
Yeah,
player.
well,
So
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
it's hard to
an
explain what you
amazing
see.
story. Yeah, yeah. That's why now this was an example where the, you see something, but the data is telling you a different thing. It's opposite than the last example that you said. The first one was,
Oh, actually, I picked up Yokota on data. The first thing that
yeah,
he brought up to me, it was in data. And then I spent some time watching him so I can combine methods and I can create whole picture. I also try to reach agent to get some connections, to get some references, his personality, stuff like that, what is important at the football club. And then after I got almost everything, I present to my sport director and he's like, it's a village league, no. So sometimes even if you do everything right, you still can go
yeah.
success. There is
But
no, a lovely ending on the story.
yeah, but you done everything that you can from your side. So you know where this player went. So you are a little bit peaceful from your side. But I wanted to ask you again something about it. But you mentioned the now when you were explaining this player, Japanese player, about his mentality, what are his habits. Uh, and well, in the last few years, this topic started to be quite interesting. But when it comes to this, what's your opinion of it? Well, I know that you ask about this information, but how do you look at it? How important is this mental aspect or the social aspect of the player when you are checking him?
It's really important now because everyone is trying to work in a high performance environment. And as strength and conditioning coach, you know what it means to be in high performance environment. And
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
it's really hard actually to be professional athlete because your discipline must be on really, really high level. And that's why we are trying to do so many background checks with so many references, so many comments about you. So we are trying to reach players that you played in the past. Once I had one player he's now in Croatian league. He's doing really well, so he'll probably move in the future. But I reached his coach under 17. I also reached one of his teammates who was his teammate when he was under 15 player. So try to guess what kind of picture we are trying to create when you are
Yeah,
investing money in someone. So you need to
that's
check
it. Yeah.
habits of eating, sleeping time. Does he play PlayStation? Silly stuff. But you are creating whole picture that your club will spend some money, and also you will be responsible of recommending that player to your board.
Yeah, it's not a small thing, when you are, like you said, you are spending money on them and you want to have all the information about that player and you want to confirm that this investment will pay off. Uh, I will now come to this question that I wanted to ask, and it's about changing the the culture and changing the league that you are playing. And when you check the data and the players, what was the main, let's say, problem from your side if you notice something that if the player have not adapt, to this league, or I know maybe it's hard to explain or maybe hard to answer on this, but this is one of the questions that I, ask myself sometimes, why this player went here. I know it can be a lot of different reasons, but have you noticed some pattern or something?
Most of the time, it's based on the physical profile of the player, because even if you're not so into
Yeah,
football, when
like
you watch Premier
sorry,
League,
sorry
you
for
can
in,
see.
so
Okay.
sorry for interrupting. Just to repeat, so physical part was from your side the main problem
In the most cases, yes,
in the most cases. Ah, okay, okay.
because even if you look from approach of normal human being who is watching football just for the fun, when you see players from Premier League, you can see that they are built a little bit different compared to some other leagues. For example, when you take Croatian Football League on telly and then you watch Premier League, you can see difference in a build of the players.
Yeah,
So that's
definitely.
something what is really important. And then obviously you can watch intensity of the game, stuff like that. And usually it's connected to the physical part.
Wow. All right. Um, I had some idea about it. It was also connected with that, but I didn't know, like that it's this like not huge difference, but that impact is so big from the physical part and the differences between the cultures.
Uh,
Yeah, this is quite
can we
interesting.
can we use one good example, not to throw
Yeah,
off people of Croatian football and stuff like that? For example, Franjo Ivanovic, who played really, I
yeah,
would say he
I know,
was,
Franjo. We worked together in under 21
and
national team.
his physical profile. He's
Yeah,
physically,
definitely.
he can repeat whole day. And for him, adaptation from Croatian league to Belgium league was easy. And I'm sure that his next step will be into Bundesliga or Premier League, Championship, something like that. And he will also adapt easy because he's a physical profile. He has a
Yeah,
good build, good muscle rate to compare to his body, good speed. So for him, any kind of adaptation is going to be easy. Now we can discuss his technical terms, stuff like that, but from terms of adaptation, physically he can adapt anywhere.
I I agree about that part, and he's an amazing guy, great guy, and I wish him all the best. And that, like you said, if he can go even, and he will go even better. So I hope that this will came true for him in the future. Uh, I have also again something about data to get back here. So when it comes to not the problems, but let's say where we can be even better in the sectors of maybe scouting or connecting scouting and physical preparation or video analysis, where are the spaces that we are lacking? Like you said, maybe we are collecting data, but we are not using data that much. Or, what are the spaces or where you see scouting departments in the future for 2 or 5 years from now?
Uh, we spoke a little bit about earlier because I think the most thing that we can improve is to try to predict impact of the players into new clubs, new leagues. Because now flagging and picking up on the players, it's getting easier and easier because you have many providers, so you have many sites that can you push you into the right direction. Right now there is a new provider called Eyeball. They're doing under 19 football, so even now
Okay.
they create some kind of rating of the players. So even now you can go on Eyeball. They're also covering a lot of African football, and you can check best 10 players into Mali under 19 division, for example. And in those terms of flagging, it's getting easier. But in terms of predicting adaptation and predicting implement of the player, I think there is a case that we can improve the most.
Okay, perfect. I think that I am also checking a little bit, writing about this page that you mentioned, Eyeball. I'm just checking. Yeah, it's an interesting source. I definitely recommend people who are interested in this topic to check it. And well, Goran, we came to an end. I get all the questions from I get all the answers from you according to my questions. I don't want to take too much time from you. I think that we cover some interesting topics, and I like the way how you think and how you are approaching to your work. And so we can wrap things a little bit up. And can you tell for the listeners where people can find you, maybe follow you, if they have any questions regarding this topic?
Basically, you can find me on LinkedIn is the easiest way. You can also reach me with any kind of questions. I'm always trying to be helpful. If there is answer that I can provide, I'll do it for sure. I already had some kind of questions about my journey, my scouting. Where should I start? What should I do? And I always try to provide good information, try to connect people. And also, if you fell in love with the football as I am, I I'm sure that you will find a way also to contact me.
Yeah, this is quite important, the passion part. I know that people who are working in football, they're all passionate. We spend a lot of hours working, and for them, for these guys who are contacting you, what you can recommend to them, like to give some new scouting or performance analyst coaches. Can you give them some advice, for them?
Of course, try to read more. um, Try to read everything what you can find on the topics. I know it's sometimes difficult to find on native language, so sometimes you need to read it on English, but try to read everything what you can get your hands on. Also, something what is maybe not so specific, I like to watch basketball podcasts because I think basketball is more advanced in many terms than any other sports that we are connected. So basically, some of the nuggets or some stuff that I will pick it up, it will be from basketball podcasts. So try to catch
I
on
like
that.
that.
And also, there is many also Croatian sites, also Croatian football podcasts that you can watch and really learn something, what is new and what can you apply into your daily life or your new career.
Perfect. And are there any new projects that you are participating or something for the future so that the people can follow a little bit your work?
Maybe we're gonna collaborate in the future, us too. But right now I'm with the new
Yeah,
club, so I need to catch up with the speed, and
of course.
hopefully on the summer I will be in the Premier League, and then it's going to be easier
That's good.
to see some new projects on the way.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Perfect way of thinking. Just keep all positive, and I know that with this enthusiasm and with this energy, that you will be there quite soon. Goran, thank you one more time for your time. I hope that you enjoyed as much as I have. I call everybody who are listening and who will listen this to check Goran, like he said, his LinkedIn profile. Definitely contact him if you have any questions, and if you are interested in any other topics from Ultrax Football Talks, please check our YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn page. So Goran, thank you one more time. I wish you all the best in your new club, and next time when we will do these episodes, I hope that we will be speaking from the Premier League chair.
Hope so. Thank you, Marco, for invite. It was pleasure, and it was a really quick talk.